Hello and welcome to the Full Advisor Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Kristen Herod, and today we have not one, but two guests joining me. I'm excited to welcome Dennis Moore, who is the Interim CEO at the Financial Planning Association and the Chief Operating Officer, along with Ben Lewis, who is the Chief Communications Officer at the Financial Planning Association. So, gentlemen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us, Kristen.
And this interview is interesting. It came out of a hallway conversation I had with you, Ben, at the FPA retreat. We were out in Illinois, and I've known you for over a decade, a long time. A very long time. And it was great to catch up in person again. And we just started chatting, and I was asking you about, what's going on at the FPA. And you were highly energetic around all the new things that were coming out. And I thought, hey, let's have you come on the podcast. So happy to welcome you and Dennis. Dennis, how's it going in the interim CEO role?
Yeah, thanks, Kristen, and thanks for having us.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot of exciting things coming up this year for FPA as we're celebrating our 25th, and also opportunity not only to look at the last 25 years and looking forward to the next 25, but also reflecting back on the pre-FPA. So FPA was formed by the merger of two predecessor organizations, the ICFP and the IAFP, and so it's really been a fun year to be able to celebrate that and to celebrate that vision that those pioneers had at that point in time to get us here. As we're celebrating the 25th year, we've got a lot of great things coming out for our members. Competency Model, which I'm sure we'll talk through, an updated media source, an updated planner search, a lot of things to help our members do what they do, connect with clients, build their brand, build their business, because at FPA, we want to be their partner in planning throughout their life, their professional life. So it's been a really fun year and fun to be part of that.
Yeah, and one thing I just want to quickly say, and I don't want Dennis to undersell himself either. He might be the interim CEO, he might be the COO, but he is somebody who's got a really, really deep, rich history in the organization going back decades. And I mean, he came up through the chapter system. He was a volunteer leader on our board of directors, was our national president. Now he's on staff side. So, I mean, he's somebody who just really gets what this association is all about and what it means to be a part of it.
That's great. Thanks for the context, Ben and Dennis. You can accept the compliments and acknowledgments. It is interesting because I have just, I've been in the industry directly since 2006, previously in financial services, but not related to Financial Planning Association. I just assumed FPA has been around, way longer than 25th. I had to double check that you were saying the 25th a couple times when I was at retreat, because I was like, really? I thought it was longer than that. So it sounds like the background is it was two organizations, International Association for Financial Planning and then the Institute of Certified Financial Planners. So you came together at the turn of the century is quite obviously what the math is telling me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the history is much longer than 25 years. And even
right.
our Journal of Financial Planning, 40 plus years in publication. So again, a much deeper history than 25. But as those two predecessor organizations came together to form FPA in 2000. So as FPA as we know it today is celebrating that 25th anniversary.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Hey there, it's Kristen. Quick break. If you're enjoying the show and you want more, head on over to fulladvisorcoaching.com/resources. You can download the toolkits that I have there and join the free insider community. You'll be the first to hear about new trainings, fresh podcast episodes, and I share with you real-world strategies that I see working for advisors right now. That's fulladvisorcoaching.com/resources. Go sign up. It's completely free. And now, back to the show. Well, as you may or may not know, the Full Advisor Coaching Podcast is very focused on helping RAA leaders and financial advisors, financial planners create and build their version 2.0, whatever that means to you. But like people who have reached a certain level and they're looking ahead with intention to say, what do I want to create and build and do next with my firm, with my life, all of these things. So I thought it'd be cool, given that FPA has so much new on the table, that we can kind of talk about FPA's version 2.0, if you will, like the next, your next phase or chapter. Because I know you've just launched a few things, and Dennis, you alluded quickly to the competency model and some of the other things. I'd love to get into just thinking about how advisors, as they are shaping and building the next parts of their career and helping the next gen come up in the ranks, how is it that they can leverage or gain education and skills and development and awareness through the FPA?
Yeah. So, and the competency model is something that we just launched, I think officially in June 11th, I believe, officially launched it. So It's out and live. But what it is, so again, it focuses more on the behavioral side of it, the human side of it. Really don't get into the technical side of financial planning within this particular framework. But what it offers is it offers our members and non-members. It's out there and available to everybody on our website to do some self-led self-assessments to kind of really take time to reflect and see where you are on these 6 different kind of behavioral competencies that we've identified. And then based on that, kind of show you and lead you to other resources within FPA to help either hone in on something, become more proficient in whatever it may be, whether it's articles in the journal, an upcoming conference, other learnings that we do throughout FPA, but really trying to focus on the human side of financial planning, right? That connection, that relationship that really makes financial planning what it is.
Right. And I really like how you've built it out to be, kind of the foundational competencies, the intermediates, and then you have the advanced. So it's not too overwhelming. You break it down. And I think that can really serve, based on what I've seen from working with leaders in the industry. They can bring team members along, right, on the journey and help people and meet them where they are, which I think is pretty exciting. So give us a little bit more. Let's talk about the 6 competencies, kind of just at a high level, just to give people some flavor of what we're talking about. And just, I, of course, want to speed ahead to leadership because that's where business development is, and branding and personal branding. So I was like, yes, let's just go there. But we can start at the beginning and start with interpersonal impact.
I'll just quickly add here, and it's funny because I actually was just doing an FPA Live with Destry Downing, who's our membership director, and Nick Nicolette, who is a longtime financial planner, has been a leader in the profession, has been an FPA past president, one of the smartest people I know. And he was directly involved in the task force in the development of this. So this work had been going on for actually multiple years. And again, we just launched it June 11th. And so the 6 domains, as you said, it starts with interpersonal impact. Mm-hmm. And this is really about, again, how you actually, as a financial planner, cultivate those relationships, how you can be more empathetic, how you can foster greater collaboration, not just within your own team, but how you actually do that with your clients, ultimately those who you're serving. And it really kind of gets to the heart of really what financial planning is all about. It's not, you're not out there just selling stuff, or, it's about going beyond the numbers. And to really succeed as a financial planner, you need to be able to foster that interpersonal impact of what it means to do financial planning.
Right. No, absolutely. And it's, I think the part around it being a relationship business, even when I do, obviously fundamentally, I get into teaching people how to grow their business and how to, create what they want. I think fundamentally it comes down to, do you understand how to build and develop a relationship with any stakeholder in your firm, whether it's employee, a COI, a partner, a client, a vendor, whatever it might be. Like, do you have that skill? And I think that's something that especially younger generations can benefit immensely from. Let's kind of give just a high level of the other areas. So another foundational one, I think, is professionalism. Talk about what that includes.
Yeah, so that's, everything from, just how you show up, showing up with integrity, how adaptable are you? We even had in the interview that Ben mentioned a little while ago today, longtime leader mentioned that was one of the things that really kind of caught his eye on, being a professional. But it goes beyond that. It goes into systems. Like, do you have the system set up to be able to show up authentically with your clients and be there? So again, it kind of, and it dives into to where you are, like you mentioned at the beginning, kind of the beginner, intermediate, and expert, right? Or advanced. And so you can kind of, there's still something in there for everybody as they continue to grow. And that's the other thing. And I'll mention too, before we get to the answers, this isn't necessarily just about the professionalism piece, but like this model will continue to grow and evolve as well, right? And we don't anticipate it being a static model. It'll continue, as resources and exploring new ideas and maybe even new competencies down the road, so we'll continue to take feedback and build on it to help, again, our members and planners show up with their authentic selves and be there for their clients and really be able to help make that impact.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's about building an accountability, right? I mean, if you're going to be a professional, you need to be accountable to constantly be upholding what it means to be a professional. And that's what's cool about adopting some of these systems and processes. And again, through the content that's actually feeding into the competency model, the hope is that planners will be able to perfect those systems, which will lead to that accountability that they want.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's really interesting as I look at this kind of at the macro level, and I have not yet had this interview yet. So when we reference former episodes, this will be a future episode I'm doing with Kelly Cruz, who does, training and talent management for firms to help them sort of set the career paths for advisors, set the competencies and the milestones to achieve. And I can see how firms can look to this competency model and say, okay, foundationally, are you able to prioritize tasks and use tools to improve efficiency? I'm reading that right off of the competency model here. Mm-hmm. And then for an advanced person, maybe it's, something much more nuanced. It's like creates structures for ethical practice and professional growth. So it's like, depending on your role, what it is you have to do within these different competencies. So I can see that aligning really well when you start to look at how do I help someone on a career path? How do I help someone move through the organization or develop their skills or become a leader in the organization? So,
and I will say, I mean, in my conversation with Nick Nicolette, again, who served on the task force for this, he stressed the fact that you don't need to be in a client-facing role to utilize the competency model, that a lot of what you're going to learn through your interpersonal impact and client communication and care are things you can apply to your daily life within your team, within the firm that you're in. So you don't need to be in a client-facing role to benefit from this.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I really do recommend that everyone goes to the FPA. You can download the I think it's just the comprehensive guide of the model. It's beautifully laid out, I have to say. As a marketer, I'm looking and going, oh, this is so interesting. Love the layout, like how it breaks down. And I really, how it often becomes so difficult to get tangible for people to be like, oh, yeah, let's talk competency. Let's talk this. But this brings it down into very actionable things that advisors and team members can do so that they can move that needle. And I think that's where a lot of these initiative and efforts get stuck, is because people don't know what specifically they're supposed to focus on or work on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Dennis, let's keep us going. Number 3 in the model.
Yeah. So leadership, and you mentioned that a little while ago, right? So
Yeah.
and that's again, it's everybody. You hear the word leadership, it means different things to different people sometimes, and so this is where it really comes down to again, leadership within your firm, leadership with your clients, the communication. Even though communication is another part of it, but it's everything from mentoring, practice management in regards to building effective teams. And then, of course, like you mentioned, Kristen, at the beginning, the business development piece of, so how do you acquire more clients, more business? How do you show up? It's not just the technical aspect of it. It's the interpersonal, the human side of how we show up every day with what we do.
Right. Especially in this business, when you're doing financial planning and you're in that profession and you're kind of covering a very emotional topic. You're covering something that people don't just decide, wake up one day and go, oh, I'm going to hire a financial planner. Hold on, let me do that today. And then they need to see and get to know you over time before you may ever hear from them, to get that trust built and get that sense of connection. And are you someone who knows what they're doing, and can I trust you? Can I believe you? And so I do find I saw you had a lot in there about personal brand development too, which is really interesting. And that's just, how you're showing up in the world and how people see you. Obviously I'm highly drawn to this section, but it's something people often, come to me and ask me about. So I think this one is, just essential in terms of, especially as you're looking at your version 2.0 and saying, where do I need to build? And I know the next area is the critical thinking. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Serving the client's best interests. Let's speak a little more to critical thinking.
Yeah, and I'll jump in here, and then Ben, love to hear your thoughts on it too. But one of the things that really kind of stands out to me on this piece. So again, the critical thinking, again, just expanding your knowledge, your skills, your behaviors. But one of the things that as you look at it, it talks about expanding your perspective. And to me, and Ben mentioned at the beginning, my involvement with FPA, really my entire career through different volunteer positions and things like that. It's really about that community, right? One of the values that FPA brings to our members is that community. But then on top of that is the perspective, expanding your perspective. That way you hear outside ideas. That way you can see how somebody else may be running their business or doing business development and things like that. So this, again, kind of helps to solidify that and really kind of dives into making sure, and again, it's all self-reflection. This is all self-paced, on your own type of a deal on this competency model, self-learning. But it's one of those that this one really kind of jumps out to me, and it's important to me, and just that perspective. And so it'll help you kind of give you feedback on yourself, on where are you with that? Are you looking at other perspectives, and just how do you take that in? So, and again, a lot of other areas within that piece, but that's the one that kind of hits me a little bit every time I look at that piece.
That's great. And I find that interesting because I've been reading, I don't even remember where I'm, on LinkedIn or where it might be, but just how a lot of times advisors kind of get stuck in their way of solving the problem, when it's like, if you actually do step in the shoes of the client and look at it and say, there may be a way that, let's say you always say pay down your debt first or something. Maybe there's a different perspective or approach that this particular human needs from you, and that you have to consider another way or a different perspective. And I like the way you explain this here. I know when I did coaching training before I did life coaching training before I got into being a financial planner. One of the modules we had to learn was you had to we'd put a person who was kind of the client in the center of the room. And then you had to approach it, like start on one side and talk to them, and then move and stand on a chair and look down and chat with them. You'd lay on the floor and look up at them and chat. So it was like literally changing your perspective. It was fascinating. That really stuck with me. And it's kind of just a metaphor for what you're talking about here.
And I'll just say that this idea of critical thinking is it's so ingrained in the FPA culture. I mean, really, when you look at the things that we're even about as an organization, that sense of community, that open sharing, dialogue, and so on. I mean, even FPA Retreat, where you spoke, Kristen, you knocked it out of the park. You know, one of the key messages around that event is about challenging assumptions. You know, we always say, this is where you come and you challenge how you think, what you assume, because there's always other ways to approach a client situation or a specific issue.
Right.
So that's the piece that I think is really exciting, is that it's really tapping into kind of what makes this community so special.
That's great. Thanks for adding that. I saw that for sure come alive in retreat, and it's something that I think is so important. There's actually I don't know if you've ever read the book by Adam Grant called Think Again. He's a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, but he wrote a book called Think Again, and it was all about, like, if you hear someone's perspective and you don't agree with it, like, approach it, take a look at it, try to understand that side, and don't immediately shoot it down. Just try to understand the other side. And it's pretty fascinating just around the whole idea of just like, let me try to see where they're coming from. And it helps you practice that exercise of not being staunch and like, I have to do it this way.
Yeah, just
doesn't mean you have to change your beliefs. It just means that you are understanding and you can, hold to your values and what's important to you. But it was just the idea of other people have their values and what's important to them, and how do we, push and pull on that?
Yeah, it's just being open to other perspectives, right? I mean, it's just, you don't have to accept them, you don't have to embrace them and use them. But just understanding where other people are coming from can help actually shape what you're doing. And and that's the first step. That's the most important step.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. I knew this would happen. I'm like, we're going to be, we have a lot to cover, and I want to keep going, but I love the dialogue. All right. Client communication and care. If I had to pick a second one, this would be a big one for me. I think that all thriving financial firms, and any business for that matter, if you focus on the client communication and care, you're 90% of the way there. I mean, that is what you're delivering. So yeah, Dennis, you're nodding. So I think you're pretty,
yeah. And it kind of builds on what we were just talking about as well, like that perspective and the critical thinking and being able to communicate, right? That communication, and if you're really open about it, builds trust. And so for financial planning to work, if you have a financial plan, all the technical analysis and ready to go, but if that client's not connecting with you and you can't get them to implement because their trust may not be there, it doesn't go anywhere, right? So the trust piece, and again, it all comes back to the human relationship, the human side, and that's why we're so excited about this whole competency model, is because it doesn't replace any of the technical aspects, but it just helps to enhance and complement it to help with that relationship piece. And so, yeah, the client communication, it's all about building trust. How do you communicate? How do you hear them? How to make sure they hear you, and all of that in order to help them get to where they want to go. Because I mean, financial planners deal with a lot of very heavy topics for clients. There's a lot of things that come across their desk, and so you've got to have that relationship and that trust to be able to actually help them and move them forward.
Right. And the listening skills, first and foremost, right? In terms of hearing what they're saying and being able to kind of hold the space, to go back to my life coaching training, hold the space for people to, experience, and then try to figure out how is it that you can help propel them into action, right? So they're not stuck, right? Because a lot of times, the best plans don't go anywhere because they haven't been implemented. So how is you as their trusted planner helping them in that way? And as you were speaking, Dennis, I was also thinking that this really, I think, is the element where people, when advisors or planners are worried about technology, and we hear them, oh, AI or robo advisors or technology or replacements or big companies here or this and that replacing us. This is the separating is it wheat from the chaff?
Right.
I mean, it's like I think that's the expression, but like this is where you can really stand out and make the difference and really get that, that connection that you can't replace.
Yeah, I've heard it say until AI can grab a tissue and hand it across the table to a client that's in distress, it's not replacing the human financial planner, right? It's a tool, certainly financial planners to adopt it and use it, and it's going to take the profession, into the future where it's going. But again, it's not, it can't replace that human element. And that's what makes it, that makes it what it is.
But with that being said, a few years ago, we actually did research with eMoney that looked at the use of technology in fostering client trust. And it showed that if you have even a client portal, a way for, there to be clarity and transparency about where they stand, that can actually lead to a greater level of client trust. So technology has a role. It's not going to supplant the work that financial planners are doing, though.
100%.
Correct. Yeah. And I actually did an interview with John Prendergast. You know him from Blue Leaf? Oh, yes. And we were talking about 150 touch points to a client, and communication was fascinating, all driven, by technology and cues and things like that. But it's still the fundamental underlying piece was around prioritizing communication with clients. And it was fascinating. And that's a way that you can show how technology is enabling. If you haven't heard that episode, I highly recommend people go back and listen to it, because he is passionate about the relationship and human connection, and doing that through the use of having technology to support you and help your team.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Really, really important there. Okay. The next one is something that I heard come up at the retreat when I was there, and no surprise it's in here, is around advancing the profession. So advancing the financial planning profession. Let's speak to that. I think that's important.
Yeah, and this is another one near and dear to our heart at FPA, the profession of financial planning and what that means. And so what this module is about, or this competency here, it's about that, advancing it. So it's everything from advocacy, and just making sure that you're up to date with what's going on, whether at the state level or federal level, all the way to pro bono services, which FPA has a great pro bono offering that our chapters do, and we have national pro bono offerings, chapter offerings, and so that's something, again, near and dear to our members' heart, is just giving back and helping that, because again, financial planning is just, it's a helping relationship. It has such an impact on society. And so being able to have the tools to be able to do that and give back is really important to us at FPA and important to our members. And so, so this last sixth of the competencies in the model is really all about that and helping to grow the profession. We need more people in the financial planning profession. We need people understanding that this is a career path. Like, what is financial planning, right? And it's one of those deals where I know we want it all to be there right now, but when you step back and look at it, like we said, financial planning is roughly just over 50 years old, in the grand scheme of things. And so when you compare that to some of the other very established professions like medicine and law that's been around centuries, right? So again, we're still very young. And that's what makes all of this so impactful. And what I'm excited about whenever I talk to people is, so the people today are actually having the impact on the future of financial planning and where this whole thing is going to go. Like, we're still writing the book on what is financial planning and where it's going. And so this competency, this module here, helps with that. It helps to kind of bring that awareness up, helps you start to think through that and what role can each of us play in getting us to where we all want financial planning to be.
That's very exciting. And I think the fact that the competency model is fluid and flexible and will evolve and is not a static, this is how it's done. And it allows for that development, speaks to what you're saying of like, we're writing the future of the industry and where we're going. And I think that's really exciting. And you're 100% right. I'm hearing all the time how there just aren't enough people coming through into the profession. And, the next generation really does have, if we can just let them know this is a really cool and interesting and impactful career in industry, then, creating that awareness is super important. And I know Ben is the master of communication and getting the word out. So he can't do it alone, though, right? So he needs everyone out there pushing forward in that.
Well,
sure.
and to that point, look, a cornerstone of any true profession is the willingness of those within the profession to use their knowledge and skill to help those who don't typically have access. That's why the medical profession and the legal profession, they've got pro bono. They do a ton of it. If we can get more financial planners to use their skill, to use their knowledge, to benefit those who don't typically have access, we create a better society as a whole. And that should be the goal of financial planning. And it even extends, because you were just talking about next generation planners. I mean, a lot of these next generation planners are getting into financial planning. Yes, it's a nice career. And yes, you can do well for yourself. But there's other motivation behind it. They've got these life experiences that they're bringing to the table. I mean, I've actually had a conversation with one of our next gen members who got into planning because she was raised by a single mother who worked 2 jobs to put her through college, and she saw the struggles that her mother went through. And she wants to help ensure that other single parents don't have to struggle like that. That's what's so great about financial planning. That's what's really cool about what we're doing with the competency models, to try to foster more people out there giving back and supporting where this profession can go and what it should be for society.
Right. No, 100%. Thanks for sharing that example. That's a really strong one, and one I've heard, in different forms of fashions of what truly motivates people to be in the planning profession. And money affects everyone. So I think there's ample opportunity to have a fulfilling, impactful career and impact, in the community. So it's very exciting. And I think the perfect kind of wrap to the competency model and saying, hey, this is, we've got a lot ahead of us, and kind of inviting everyone to come and participate and help move the profession forward.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I know you have some other things going on. So first of all, to get the competency model information, we can just go to the FPA website, correct? We'll have the link in the show notes, so that people can go directly there to be able to take a look and start doing the assessments and understanding each of the sections of the model. But is there anything else you want to add on that?
No, just in the meantime, and people can just go to financialplanningassociation.org. And when you go to the top navigation, you click on learning, and you'll see FPA competency models, one of the first things that pops up, and that will take you right into our learning management system where you can do your assessments and all of that. The only other thing I'll add about the competency model is that what we're working on right now is to fully integrate the competency model through everything in the association. So the Journal of Financial Planning is going to, a lot of it's going to be kind of focused through satisfying things within the competency model. Even our conferences and events starting next year, a lot of the educational parameters around the various tracks and things are going to be based around the competency model. So we're talking about a full integration across the association, which is going to be really cool and exciting for us.
I love that. And it also helps members just understand, and non-members, frankly, people outside looking in, understand, where to go. It gives them a framework. People like frameworks. They like to work around models and frameworks and understand, and you can really it's something you can embrace and improve and enter at any phase of your development, which I think is really important. Okay, so another thing I know, kind of switching gears a little bit, is just one of the big things, Ben, I've always known you as being kind of in the media space, right? I don't know. I've just always known you in that way. But talk about the media source platform. That's exciting. I know advisors are always asking me, how can I get in the media? How can I do this? I'm like, okay, you need to find a platform and or start reaching out. But tell us about that.
So Media Source was created, I think we launched our original version of it in 2016. And what it was designed to do was to speed up the reporting process for journalists while also giving our members a really cool opportunity to be featured in the media. And so prior to launching, we had to send individual queries out to members, and it was a cumbersome process.
Right.
So what we did is we created this automated media query platform where journalists can go in, complete a simple form. It gets approved on the back end by yours truly. And then we hit a little button and it sends it out to our members who are participating in the platform. Since we launched this version of the system, we've sent over 9,200 different journalist queries. And these queries are coming in from journalists of all sizes and shapes and backgrounds. I mean, everything from the New York Times, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Kiplinger Personal Finance, all the way through the industry trades. And so I actually had a member reach out to me a few months ago, and she said, I've been participating for over the last 2 months. And she goes, I've been in 15 different news articles. I'm like,
oh my goodness,
it's working for you. That's fantastic.
Right.
And so it's an opportunity to elevate our members' individual profiles. Kristen, almost better than anybody. These articles with your name and your company, this is valuable Google juice, right? This is what's going to power your visibility online. This is how people are going to start to find you. And and I think we've really kind of created a cool system that makes it really easy for our members to generate this attention.
That's fantastic. And I'll say not just Google juice, but now the AI search and all of that. Yep. It's like, they're bringing in direct quotes. They're bringing in, the answers to questions, and you want to be the one answering that question for sure.
Yep.
We actually, we just did an interview. I just did an interview with Wealth Tender with Brian Thorpe and Diana Cabrases, and we were talking about just how AI search is really, they're looking for people. It's looking for people. It's looking for answers. It's looking for, the source there. And so I think, again, the more advisors can embrace trying to get out in the world in these third-party sources that have higher rank or higher sort of media weight or search weight to them than you as an individual make a big difference.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's really what's kind of neat about the system is that this is all valuable content, and then you turn around, you leverage in your own marketing. But even more than that, I mean, today's day and age, if you're not embracing content marketing, you're not pushing content out there that people can utilize to do something better for themselves, you're missing out. And that's what's really neat about this is our members who are participating, a lot of them are actually utilizing these queries to basically start to flesh out content. And then so when they actually create one of these responses to a reporter query, they're just taking it and then they're expanding it out, and then they're creating content, and then they're sending out to their clients. They're creating video content. They're creating quick page turners and things like that. So it's really valuable on multiple levels.
Absolutely. It gets around to, you're helping me out here. I also did an episode on repurposing content, and we'll have to put it in the show notes because I don't remember which one it was. But the whole idea of like one small thing, and in this case, a quote in any publication that's relevant at all, with you as the expert. I mean, I just love the idea of that being like, oh, I just spoke about that. Now I can write a full article about that. Now I can share this on LinkedIn. Now I can send this out to my clients. Now it's in my deck when I'm talking to client. There's so many ways that you can reuse that it's unbelievable. I mean, I'm just excited that you've made this easy for journalists to get in touch with planners. I think that's helpful. And then for planners to connect in that way.
Yeah. And what's really cool is actually while we've been talking, a new query has come in from CNBC that I have to send out to everybody. But I mean, it's like, in any given day, we might have 3 or 4 that come in. There are some days when like the news cycle is just going crazy because something's happening in the markets, or our government decides to pass some kind of legislation that's a little controversial. All of a sudden, I mean, we get like a dozen of these queries. That never happens. Come on.
That does not happen.
That never happens. but it kind of depends on what's happening. And so it's a really cool platform. And I wanted to stress one thing here, that in order to participate in Media Source, you need to be an FPA member in good standing. That goes without saying. But you also need to be a CFP professional. You need to go through an FPA approved media training. And luckily for our members, we actually have an on-demand media training program called FPA. It's called Media Mastery 2.0. Module 0 is only 20 minutes long, and that's the prerequisite for getting into Media Source. So it's
I was going to say, I would hope that there's some training or input available for advisors, because it can, if you want to be featured, you do have to respond in a certain way. And how do you do it? And what do you do? And so I'm happy to hear that exists, because I was going to go down that path and be like, what do you recommend? But it sounds like you recommend do module 0. Be a member, do module 0, get the access, which sounds perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things we also provide all of our members who participate is a best practices guide. It's got 11 specific tips, everything with don't wait till the reporter's deadline to hit before you submit your response. Be original. Don't just regurgitate the same thing that everybody else is saying, because that's not going to make you stand out. Cite original data. I mean, be willing to just be on background. I mean, just helping a reporter goes a long way, because I always stress it's not about the one opportunity you might get through this one query. It's about getting the future 100 opportunities you can get to work with that reporter.
That is without a doubt. I can back that statement up. I know any reporter I've worked with, I have worked with more than one time, because they've come back, they come back again and again. And then if they say, do you have another source? I can't quote you again right now, but can I? And then you make the introduction, or you say, oh, that's not my specialty, but I'll introduce you. You become the go-to for that person, which is really fun and fulfilling and interesting, I think. So.
Yeah, I always say you don't want to be a source. You want to be a resource.
I like that.
Source might get quoted once or twice, and then you'll never hear from the journalist again. A resource is somebody that a journalist can come to time and time and time again. I mean, great example. People like Carolyn McClanahan, Tim Maurer, people like that. They've really mastered the art of relationship building with journalists, and it's been great for them. I mean, they've built platforms off of these relationships. So it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that does tie back to your competency model again. Sorry, Dennis. Ben and I are like doing our little PR riff here.
Sorry.
Which we could do. Yeah, that's why we're here in the first place, because we couldn't stop talking in the hall. But we'll loop you back in. So I think it does tie back to the competency too, just being like, okay, this is just another outlet for you to be able to, share your brand, your leadership, the profession, advance the profession. Many of the things link back into it. So it's really a tool to help in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of that's actually what I was going to comment on, as well as circle it back to that, because again, and y'all just mentioned it, it's a relationship between the journalist and the member that's becoming a resource, right? Again, so it's obviously, we're all humans. It's all about relationships and communication and everything. So again, another tool after going through the competency model and things like that to help try to build that relationship, which can then help beyond just the client interaction, which is at the point that you're making right there too. It's a much bigger than that. And so, as you approach all of this and look at it holistically and broaden your perspective, one of the modules from the competency model, it all kind of ties together. And that's where FPA is trying to help our members really kind of see that, connect those dots, and help them grow within their businesses and the profession and get to where they want to be.
That's great. Fantastic. All right. So what else is coming up? I know there's a next gen gathering in Orlando, but sold out. So no one, you can't get there this year if you haven't bought a ticket yet. What else? We have the national conference coming up. Let's hear the 1 minute on that.
Yeah, our FPA annual conference is at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, November 3rd through 5th. It's going to be a great event. And again, we talked about at the beginning of the episode here about the 25th anniversary of FPA. So it's going to be a celebration of FPA and again, the predecessor organizations as well. And looking back on that, but also looking forward and really celebrating financial planning. And so bringing, everybody within the ecosystem of financial planning really comes to this conference. Of course, the practitioners, academics, students, our next gen community, just a great place to connect and have that community, which I mentioned earlier and has been talked about, that FPA does such a great job of providing is that community. And so, yeah, definitely encourage you to check that out, November 3rd through 5th in Las Vegas for our annual conference this year.
Yeah, that should be great. Excited for that one coming up. And let's see, I know the other thing I wanted to mention, I know you have a few new offerings and specialist programs, cybersecurity certificate program, and the psychology of financial planning specialist program. I know that one's something people get excited about. So those are also things that are in the mix as well, right?
Yep. Yeah, the cybersecurity program is one that we actually launched right around the time that COVID hit.
Okay.
And so it was due for a refresh. I mean, the world of cybersecurity changes by the minute.
I don't know how you keep up on that, right?
So we were actually due to do an update on it, and we were happy to launch that early spring. And we partnered with Brian Edelman and Vincent Guillot of FCI Cyber and Buckler LLC to develop that. And so what's neat about that program is you don't need to be a chief information security officer. You don't need to be a CISO for a firm. You don't need to be the lead technologist. You can be anybody within a firm, whether you're client facing or back office, and there's something in there that you're going to learn about how you can apply to your work and the firm's practices to ensure that security of pretty confidential information. So definitely people should be taking a look at that. And it comes with 3.5 hours of CE credits. Wanted to
Very
throw that
good.
in there.
Dennis is like, what about the CE?
Sometimes people about to mention that as well. So yeah. Great program.
CE is also valuable and important. Okay, great. So for anyone who wants to learn more about becoming a member, tell me your URL again so I get it right.
Financialplanningassociation.org.
Okay. You can become a member. You can get access to all these great things. Even if you're not a member, but we highly encourage that you become one and join the community. You can take a look at the competency model and download that full guidebook there. Anything else you want to call attention to while I have you?
Dennis?
No, just appreciate the time today. Again, encourage everybody, FPA members who are listening, check out the competency model and all the new things coming out, media source, the enhanced media source, and our conference coming up in November. And if you haven't joined yet, please do check it out. Check out the competency model, see what you think about that, and see what other opportunities are there for our community that is FPA. So, we provide value for our members through practice support, learning, advocacy, and networking. And so there's a place for everybody to plug in and find that community and find that value. So I encourage you to explore that.
And we would be remiss if we didn't quickly give a shout out to our network of 76 chapters across the country. When we talk about community, when we talk about opportunities to get together, learn, bend each other's ear, our chapters are absolutely fantastic. They're doing terrific work in different areas around the country to get planners together to have these deep conversations, to explore financial planning on a deeper level. So, if you're not a member, definitely join, but also take a look at where your local chapter is and plug in there. If you're a current member, get active within your local chapter, because the opportunities to learn and grow and share with each other is found right there.
Yeah, I can back that up. Even as an industry professional, non-practicing certified financial planner, I'm part of the San Francisco FPA, and it's just the roster and the opportunities that come together and the happy hours and things, all fun to get to see people and connect and actually be face to face. It's fantastic. I do also want to call out that if someone's listening to this and they want to become a member of the FPA or attend the national conference and they're not the decision maker, send this episode over to whoever's going to sign the expense report and ask them to listen, invite them to tune in so that you can take advantage of everything the FPA has to offer. And I'd like to thank you both for joining me today. It's great to have you on the podcast. I'm happy to see you. I expect I will see you in Las Vegas in November. And for anyone who wants to reach out to me, you can go to fulladvisorcoaching.com. If you want to have a conversation, click the request a call button in the upper right-hand corner. And again, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for my listeners for tuning in. And go out and make it a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to Full Advisor Coaching, the podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit the follow button so you'll never miss an episode. To learn more about how you can become a part of the Full Advisor community, visit fulladvisorcoaching.com. Remember, stay connected and get notified as soon as brand new episodes release. Click the follow button now. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Kristen Harrod or Full Advisor Coaching.